Much love, much love. Welcome back to Origami. So today we're going to be folding a Radial Flasher. And this is the model. As you can see, it collapses and it expands like so. And this is a series of flashers that I'll be making tutorials for. This one is called the Radial Flasher. Radiates from the center like so. What we're going to be using today is a 6" by 6" square of origami paper. And let's begin. We're first going to start by taking one bottom edge, and we're going to be folding this bottom edge up, not all the way to the top, but we're actually going to fold it about a thumb's width up from the top, and we're only going to be folding 1/2 of the bottom edge, like so. And I'll repeat that once more. All we did was fold the bottom edge up about 1 thumb width from the top, and then we're only folding about halfway or a little over halfway of that edge. And then we unfold. Now we're going to rotate, and we're going to complete this step 3 more times. So I'm going to rotate clockwise, and then I'm going to fold the bottom edge up about a thumb's width and fold again. And because of the line that we already made, you can see that crease right here. We can fold right to that crease all the way over. Unfold, rotate, repeat. Unfold, rotate, and repeat. All right. Now, as you can see, we have a square. What we create is a square in the middle with these 4 lines radiating from the center. So from this point on, we're going to be bisecting angles. And bisecting simply means that, for example, this is a right angle right here. In order to bisect this angle, we want to create a line that splits this angle into 2 even angles. So right now it's 90 degrees. We want to bisect that angle so that it creates 2 45-degree angles. In order to do that, what I like to do is use the 2 edges and have them meet, right? So we have 2 folds here, 2 creases here and here that make the 90-degree angle. So in order to have them meet, I'm going to fold so that it's right at the point at the 90-degree corner right here. And I'm going to fold up like so, so that this edge, this crease right here, we're going to look at it from the back side, and it's going to align with this crease right here. So again, the point is going to be right at the corner of that 90-degree angle. I fold up. All right, and then as you can see, this crease and this crease is now aligning perfectly, and then I'm going to make my fold right from the corner and across all the way down like this. I unfold, and now I have 2 45-degree angles that bisected, and this crease that bisects that 90-degree angle. Now we're just going to rotate and repeat that process again. So I'm going to rotate counterclockwise, and again we have our 90-degree angle here, and we're going to bisect it. So again, I'm going to go from the back. I'm going to fold up on that corner, align the 2 creases, make a fold, and unfold. Repeat that process, rotate and repeat. I'm going to rotate and repeat. All right, so now we have a bunch of 45-degree angles, and we have 4 more lines radiating from the center. Now, the next step is actually we're going to be bisecting each angle 1 more time. All right, so each 45-degree angle is going to be bisected once more. In order to do that, we'll first start by kind of seeing these triangles that have been formed all the way around. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so each one is going to get bisected. We'll first start with this triangle right here. This one right here, we're gonna bisect. And the simplest way to bisect it is we're gonna align these two creases. This bottom crease is going to align with this diagonal crease right here. And it's gonna bisect this 45-degree angle. In order to do that, I go from the corner, from the bottom of that angle right here, and I'm going to fold up so that this crease from the other side aligns with the crease underneath it. So as you see, we're gonna align this bottom crease with this crease right here. And then we're gonna crease from the angle over, and that creates our bisected line. Now, we're gonna focus on this angle right here, this other 45-degree angle. This one's a little trickier because you won't be able to see how we can see the lines aligning from, we can see the back and see this one. So we can see that they're aligning perfectly. With this angle, it's a little harder, but what I like to do is, again, we're gonna do the same process of, we're going to align this crease with this perpendicular crease right here. So in order to do that, we fold over, and again, we're folding right at that angle. And what I like to do, you won't even need to necessarily see the line behind in order to align it, because all you need to do is understand that this line runs straight perpendicular to the bottom, right? So it's going straight up and down. So all I need to do is make sure that this crease behind right here is just going straight up and down, and then make sure it's obviously radiating from that angle, and then I make this fold. And then once I do that, if I unfold, see that it creates that bisecting line. And that's how we bisect those two types of triangles. So now that we've done these on these two, all we're gonna do is rotate, and I'm gonna rotate clockwise, and repeat that on the other 6 angles that we need to bisect. So we're gonna fold this up, make sure it aligns with this crease, unfold. We're gonna do the same with this, make sure that it's running straight up and down, unfold, then we rotate and repeat. Okay, awesome. Now we have a bunch of lines radiating from the center. So now we're gonna flip our model over. And at this point, we're going to continue bisecting, but now we have to bisect. We have, let's count how many we have. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 4, 16. We have 16 angles right here. Each one is going to be bisected once more, but as we flipped it over, it's going to be a little easier for us to bisect these, and we're going to bisect them individually. So I'll first start with this triangle right here. It's like a right triangle here. All right, and in order to bisect it, what I like to do is put my finger behind the triangle. You see how it's usually about a finger's length, a finger's width actually. And what I like to do is kind of make the outline of that triangle, as you can see right here. I fold by folding the crease above and below it, and I kind of pinch at the point where the angle is the smallest in the triangle. And then what I like to do is push my finger down at the top, and then all I need to do is bring these two edges together, this top and this bottom edge together, and then just make sure that it runs all the way to the tip of that small angle that we're bisecting. And then meet them together like this, and then unfold. And that will bisect that line. And we can repeat that for all of the other ones. All right, so again, I'm gonna move on to this triangle right here, this one right here. And all I'm gonna do is fold that top edge down, fold the bottom edge down. I'm gonna make sure I get all the way to the tip of this angle I'm trying to bisect. And again, I'm gonna meet the top edge and the bottom edge together by pushing my finger down and then gently pinching on the angle and aligning that and making a crease, and then unfold it. As you can see, we're just going to repeat this process over and over again until we complete all the way around. All right, that's my last one. So now you can see that we have a bunch of bisected angles, and we have about 32 different angles now, and all these lines that are radiating from the center. At this point, we finished all of our pre-creasing, and now it's time to collapse the model. So in order to collapse the model, we need to be really gentle with the paper and make sure all the folds, there's mountain folds which are popping up, and there's valley folds which are going down into the paper. So we need to make sure all those creases are properly made. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna gently start from the center, and you're gonna work your way around, making sure that each fold is placed properly in regards to it being a mountain or a valley. And as you gently twist the center, the model will begin to gradually collapse. And this takes a little bit of patience, right? Like it's not gonna be perfect, but there's a paper overlapping process called kipping that was gonna happen because obviously as paper folds over and over again, it gets a little thicker and it overlaps. So it's never going to be perfect, but try your best to make sure the folds align. And it really helps if you make really precise and sharp creases from each bisection that we made. So that helps a lot with the collapsing. Also, the thickness of the paper is going to help a lot. The thinner paper tends to a little bit flimsier, but also easier to collapse, like so. So as you can see, as I progress, and again, we're twisting the center. The center is the key. And I'm just adjusting all along the way so that I know my paper is going in the direction that I want it to go. And then once you start forming the flasher, once you get more to these edge points, it's going to be a little harder to fold it around. So what I like to do is kind of gently, as I'm going around, gently shape it into that sort of spiral shape until you finally are able to work it around enough that it fully collapses. Once it fully collapses like this, what I'm going to do is I always pinch all the way around to make sure all those folds are pretty sharp. And I pinch from the top and also pinch from the bottom. I'll flip it over, pinch from the bottom. Just make sure those folds and creases are made very sharply. So, and then now, as you can see, this is how it looks from the bottom. This is how it looks from the top. And then now when I take these 2 points, 2 opposite tabs, and I pull them apart, we have our radial flasher completed. And these are really cool. There's also a process of wet folding in which you can get a rubber band, put it around this so it holds its shape, and then dunk it in a little bit of water lightly, let it dry for a day, and then when you pull it out and it's dry, because it wants to hold its shape in that collapsed form, it really like snaps back, which is really cool. All right, so that is our radial flasher, and I really hope you were able to make this fold. It's a little complicated in regards to bisecting, but once you get used to it, it tends to go fairly quickly, and it's pretty fun. This is a really cool model, one of my favorites I like to make. And again, thank you for watching. Much love. This is Origami.